Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. If you have a look at the SEQFC page, we've got heaps of chat about FQ and everything that's happening in all the pyramid and all the different competitions, Sunshine Coast, South Coast, Darling Downs. But there is another league that's happening in the shadows that we don't hear anything about. There's just the occasional post from the clubs promoting that, requesting juniors join our team, and then that's it. We don't hear anything from them ever again. They're called the QCSA, the Queensland Christian Soccer Association. It's time to have a chat. It's time to bring them out in the open. So we've got 5 guests with us today. I'm going to introduce them. We've got Diehm from Raceview, who's also the president of the QCSA. G'day, Billy.
Hey, Darren. Thanks for having us on board today.
No worries. We've got David Orr from St. Catherine's.
Yeah, hi, Darren. Hi, everyone out there listening.
We've got Sue Peacock from Westminster.
Hi, Darren. How you going?
Good, good. We've got Kieron Walsh from Beaudesert.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Thanks for having us along.
Love the high-vis vest, mate. Looking good, looking sharp. And we've got Ken Nean from Sunnybank Saints. G'day, Ken.
Thanks for having us, Darren.
My pleasure. All right, Billy, I'm going to start with you. Tell us about this competition, the QCSA.
Well, QCSA is the Queensland Christian Soccer Association. Started back in 1969, so we're not quite Brisbane's best kept secret, but we have 24 clubs this season playing across from as far north as the Moreton area, with North Pine and Rivers Baptist Church up there, playing all the way down to Logan, across to Beaudesert and Boona in the Scenic Rim and Pacific, around to Lowood, and then through Ipswich and into Brisbane as well. So yeah, had plenty of clubs have played across the years. I think we're about 5,500 players. So it's great fun. Play from tiny tots all the way through to our juniors, senior men and senior women, and then over 30s and 40s men.
All right. So why is this league in existence?
Well, I guess it started back with the opportunity to provide through soccer an opportunity for people to play soccer on a Saturday only. So most people know us as a Saturday only competition, although our over 30s and 40s play on a Friday night. It then meant Sundays people had the opportunity for family time or family days or to go to church or whatever, that sort of thing. So it wasn't a prerequisite that you had to go to church to play in the church soccer competition. But a lot of the clubs that were originally formed were formed out of churches. They tended to be churches that had a lot of existing soccer players within them, and they thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to provide a community environment where people could come and play soccer and connect, build community around that club on a Saturday, and paying fees that I guess are a little bit lower, but to keep the family values that most of those churches had as sacrosanct. It's not unusual. If you look at a lot of the English Premier League clubs, from Liverpool's, Everton through Man City, Man United, Fulham, Tottenham Hotspur, they all started originally back in the late 1860s, 1870s out of churches. The local church minister would start an activity, a social activity of keeping the kids off the street and keeping them out of mischief by playing soccer. So those English clubs kept those roots and are still part of their history. So it's not unusual for churches to originally start football competitions or any sporting code for that matter to give opportunities for children and adults to play sport.
Good stuff. Ken, I might throw you in the mix here, mate. Tell us a little bit about those fees being a little bit lower.
Oh, look, it does help. Yeah.
Ken, I might just hold you up there. You're coming through very garbled and I'm not
From the
picking up
ones from the 8s up through juniors and seniors, form that I suppose a lot of the reincorporate.
All right, yeah, so I missed the majority of what you said there. Kieron, I might throw this question to you, mate. Tell us about those fees.
Yeah, look, I suppose the focus of the actual fees and the competition is actually to engage and make sure that we can attract and support families, across a wide socio-economic spectrum. And so the focus has always been around the fees are really just about making sure that we run the competition. We don't have the particular overheads in regards to, there's no fees or internal structures with the clubs in regards to any, financial payments, etc., to anybody else. Or anybody else, in a coaching capacity or an administrative capacity. So hence, all of the fees actually go back into running the actual club and then running the association. So hence, as a not-for-profit, we can continue to keep those fees low. As a consequence of that, we've seen a huge influx over the last few years of people that may not necessarily have the opportunity, to come and play the game that we all hold dear to ourselves. Specifically in southeast Queensland, playing soccer each weekend.
So I'll throw this question to you. With the fact that you're not for profit, what benefits do we have there? Of course, with the lower fees, but are you still able to provide the quality of facilities?
Yeah, look, the facilities that we have, a lot of the clubs are based out of council facilities, Darren. So it's the local councils themselves that actually provide that particular infrastructure. Some of the clubs have got significant infrastructures, and Sue could probably talk about Westminster as a location where there's significant council, support in regards to the clubs. There's some other clubs that are around that are smaller clubs, and they're sort of being supported either by some schools, in providing some facilities. But one of the things that we continue to challenge us is, and it's for all, it doesn't matter what club you are and where you're from, is those infrastructure costs. You do really need an alignment to council, and you also need an alignment to the peak industry body in Football Queensland to identify those areas where they want growth strategies, and hence, we continue to go to the same funding pools around grants, etc., that all sporting organisations go to. So we've got some great facilities, but don't get me wrong. I've got brand new LED lightings actually starting to be installed on Monday. Now that's been a 5-year task, as an example, to actually get the funding, and I've secured that through the Scenic Rim Council. They're actually upgrading our facilities in the next week or so. So, there's some good examples where working with council and working with other stakeholders, we're actually being able to bring forward our facilities that we provide. We've got, it's not as if we haven't got the change rooms, we haven't got the amenities, we haven't got the canteens, we haven't got that sense of community that we're actually creating. And the fields themselves, look, we could take you around to a couple of our clubs, and we could definitely, people would see a parallel to some of the clubs playing other competitions in regards to the fields of play that we actually provide.
Sue, I'll bring you in this time. Tell us about how you go bringing in money to your club. Do you have sponsors?
We do actually have a few sponsors in our club. Our local church, which is our a main sponsor of our club, Shiloh Church, they're our gold sponsor. And we have a couple of food eateries and Snap Fitness on board as well. Burger Urge at the local shopping centre. So they come on board, and our Burger Edge gives us player of the match vouchers for their players, players to use every week, so they've been very generous. So that's, you know, 1 voucher per player per week, you know, per team per week. So that's quite a few when you have 36 odd teams in your club. So they're very valuable having sponsors on board, and you know, they're hard to get, I think, especially through these economic times. David, I know St Cat's have a lot of sponsors in their facilities, but yeah, very valuable once you can get them to use them and expose them, you know, give them exposure.
I see
Yeah,
David's got up his hand here. David, are you going to name all your sponsors now and get it out there, are you? Is that the plan?
We don't have time for that. We're in a very, very fortunate position that I guess where we sit geographically. So we're, you know, south of the river to the west of the Centenary Highway in a little enclave where we do have a lot of really passionate local businesses. We as a club try and do everything we can to give them value for money, whether that's just promoting their businesses through our social media streams or ensuring that we invite them down to the club on a Saturday to have a presence. And we know this is probably unique, but we are actually in the fortunate position where our local community is so strong and passionate about our club that we almost have the situation where we almost need to say to sponsors, sorry, we don't have enough teams to accommodate you. And it's something that we are very lucky. We know that we're lucky, but that's been built up over, as Billy said, the league's been going for many years now, and ourselves been going for 45 years, and we've been trying to ensure that we pay back to the sponsors because that is, yeah, where the money comes from. We've also got a really, really good relationship with all 3 levels of government. So our local council, our state and federal politicians are always letting us know when there are grants becoming available. And they're all, you know, bilateral support, regardless of whether you're red, blue, or anywhere in between. But yeah, I mean, we couldn't survive without that level of support from the politicians and the local community as a whole.
I'll throw this question open to anyone who's happy to answer. One of the comments where I saw that when we were trying to set up this chat is that you were able to get your referees, 3 referees to every match. Why is that? What's your secret?
Yeah.
Look, I might take the lead. I think the secret to that is actually the referees are based around the club. So we actually support, we actually promote, and we actually encourage our juniors to referee games. I think as a footballer, you see a different dimension to a game and how it's run and how it operates when you do have a referee lens to it. And it's amazing how, you know, referees when they convert themselves and they're taking the refereeing hat off and they go to their player, it actually then supports the actual gameplay that's actually on the grounds as well. And so it's really at the club level that we actually support those. We do have an association. So the Queensland Christian Soccer Referees Association supplies the referees for our competition. You don't have to actually be. There's plenty of referees that actually referee our competition, but also referee, you know, for Football Queensland as well. So, you know, they're involved in both competitions, and you know, it's just the atmosphere that generates and takes out of the experience of all spectators and players, such that when you do have those, you know, 2 assistants and your centre referee, you know, the questions and the doubt that emanates from, you know, just having 1 referee, they just sort of disappears. So it actually provides a really good atmosphere for games and gameplay. So yeah, the secret there is at the local grassroots of encouraging and making sure we provide the facilities and the mechanisms for them to get trained and then also support them locally. So, you know, we do identify our junior referees. So we do have some additional requirements, you know, for juniors, and so we support them, and because being a first-time referee is a hard task. It's a little bit nervous. It's a little bit. So we as clubs, we actually support them when they start off, and provide a mentoring to them, and make sure that they get the first good experience of being a referee. And so yeah, once they start, we typically got the hooks in, and they've got a bit of a passion about being a referee as well as a player. But we've got a number of referees that are ex-players, or we've even got a few that haven't played before, but just like the game of soccer and like to actually participate.
I would also suggest that it might be an easier competition to referee in, because of certain tweaks that you guys make to the rules. You're not allowed to swear, are you? Do you still get a card for that, for swearing?
Yeah, look, we continue to do that, and don't worry, that's a continual challenge. I suppose that's one of the things that Billy's saying. That's one of the values that we bring and try to bring to the competition. I say try bring because passionate people playing passionate football. Passions overflow from time to time, and yeah, look, we provide the feedback to the players. In regards to that, there's the flexibility that we have in that particular space is that defamatory words can be used directed at people, and clearly that's not part of our game and that's not part of our values. But there's sometimes where things actually happen where it's not directed at anyone, it's actually more personal feedback on your own abilities. That that's where it's not a hard and fast rule that we have there, Darren, but for the competition it's definitely something that we continue to foster and grow and seek as being a point of differentiation.
Good stuff. All right, Ken, I want to bring you back in here. Now, Sunnybank Saints are famous for being the club that Matt Mackay played in. So
Yep.
let's say that you're looking through your under 15s team, and you've got a kid there that you think's a little bit good. What pathways does the league have for them?
Look, and you've got to look at, and Christian soccer's basically over many years been, looked at as another entity in its performance and development. But, that has switched in probably the last 5 or 6 years with the quality of the players we get from even starting from 6 to 8s through our juniors and even to our seniors now. And I mean, we, as we touched base before, that, most of our coaches are volunteers. Most of our managers are all volunteers and that, but a lot of the coaches come with good credentials in supporting, developing our players across the board. And clubs always, look at coach directing and everything else. That's volunteer as well, and be able to support bringing our players through. We don't lose a lot of players, to be honest. The last 5 years, they go up through the grades, and they particularly go into the seniors. Sunnybank Saints this year was fortunate to have a lot of senior teams, and we've got pretty much everyone in each division. And our younger players from 15, 16s last year especially have gone into SM5, which, and they're doing quite well. So the development's there, and we look at fostering that across all our age groups, and especially in the QCSA.
Do all the clubs have a technical director?
No, depending on the size of the club there, Darren, as to where that is. But what we do also there is we do actually collaborate across the clubs where those, opportunities align. We're fortunate that this year as an association, we've engaged the services of a coaching director to be able to support all of the clubs. I can only talk so for Beaudesert, for my club, they've come down and had a couple of visits this season. We've got our coaches together, and it's just great in regards to supporting where you've got volunteer coaches that, they've got their community football credentials, but it's always great to contemporize that in regards to, because the kids of how they learn and grow, over the last sort of 5 years has significantly changed, and how you engage when keeping kids happy, keeping people, learning, growing their football skills. Half the art there is to keep them engaged for a good hour and a half for the training session, and because there's so many more distractions outside of football these days that you've got to keep them engaged. So you've got to keep it healthy. You've got to keep it changing and keep them encouraging them in what they're doing. So, yeah, look, at an association level, we've been able to provide those services this year, and a few of the clubs have theirs locally as well. Within our club at the moment, we've had one come on board this year, probably learning and growing. With every role, it's always something that you learn and you grow within. And that was the formation year this year, and then next year we're looking forward to sort of delivering a few localized programs to improve our coaches and hence bring that to the field of play and how players can continue to develop their skills.
What can you throw in the mix there, Sue?
Darren, if I can just expand on a bit what Ken was talking about with pathway for our players. The QCSA does have a couple of competitions throughout the year that we call state titles. That's held in May, and that's our zones. So West Zone, so clubs in the Western area, clubs in the Northern area, and Southeast area get representative teams together, and we come together and play in a carnival over the long weekend in May. So that's a Saturday and a Monday. And Sunshine Coast come down with their players from Sunny Coast Soccer Association. And out of that, we get to play all different teams and standards of players. And born out of that competition, most years is our national competition, which is part of the CFFA structure, where associations from New Zealand, Perth, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales all get together, and Queensland puts teams in, and they play at a high level yet again. So there is a good pathway for some of our players to play a bit of representative football for QCSA and get up that higher end of the league.
Interesting. If you did say have that Matt Mackay in your squad, would you be saying, go and play for an FQ club and see how far you can go? Is that something that would naturally occur, or obviously be their decision?
Yeah, so for St. Cat's, we know what we think our place in the overall pyramid is. We've definitely had players come through our ranks, and we've supported them until they've hit the point where they've decided they want to extend themselves or go to what they perceive to be a bigger club. And we would never stop that from happening. We would never try and stop it. In fact, yes, we encourage it. So we've had players that we've lost to the likes of Taringa Rovers, Centenary Stormers is just up the road, Lions just down the road at Richlands. And we always encourage that, and we always celebrate that. We've currently got a young girl, Arabella Ryan, just turned 15, playing for QAS under 23s. She's going places. And we try and build a culture within our club that when the time is right, hopefully they come back and give back to the club, either through coaching of other juniors or as senior players themselves. Sorry, she's 13, not 15, and yeah, playing in the under 23s. So we try and foster that, I guess, those pathways where the players themselves can get the best out of themselves, knowing that it will feed back to us as a club and as a QCSA as a whole down the track, just like all the good, I guess, everything good that we've heard through the Matt Mackay story and out at Sunnybank.
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned before about the different zones with your carnivals. Does this mean that with your local competitions that the teams are only playing other teams within your zone?
For certain age groups, that's correct, Darren. Under 6, 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 play within their zone. So it cuts down on travelling time for some of the teams where they play a shorter game time. So under 6, 7 and 8s that play, 10 minutes each way, they don't want to be travelling an hour and a half to get to a game for a 20-minute game. So we keep that fairly local, and that seems to work. Once they hit under 11s to seniors and overage, it is then graded into divisions, and they travel to, west, south, north, and play clubs in those respective areas, depending on who's in each division.
Okay, interesting. All right, Billy, let's get you back in here, mate. Tell us about this season. Who's killing it this year?
Who's killing it this year? Well, it's one of the things, and I do it across my own club as well, that I don't tend to look at draws or performance of teams. I love just turning up to a game on a Saturday or a Friday night and watching who's playing. It's not till the end of the season that you start to find out who's starting to play for a position or not. So a lot of our junior football's finished, and they're about to start playing their semi-finals and grand finals over the next few weeks, and the seniors start a week later with their semi-finals. So who's killing it? What I love is that there's a fair smattering across all the clubs of teams that had teams playing semi-finals. I take my hat off to any team that makes a grand final, any team that makes a semi-final, because you might start off with 8 to 10 teams in your group. Only one of those 10 teams is ever going to win the grand final in the season. Not winning the grand final doesn't mean that you weren't successful. It just meant that you tried your best and you didn't win because someone was better that year, knowing that the next year, and we've all seen it over the years, that one team might be terrible one year, and the next year something clicks and they become better. So I love the fact that, teams play and compete. Some are doing their best all the time, knowing that they're not going to turn up. I watched one of those games on the weekend where two teams towards the bottom of the table in one of the lower divisions still played their best, played their hardest, and it was a great game of football. They competed, they went off tired and exhausted, but had fun. And I think the key is in having fun. And that's another thing. I've had a child who's gone through the NPL system. Now he loves playing senior football in QCSA. He doesn't have to train 3 days a week after having worked all day on the tools. So it's an opportunity where they can come and play with lifetime friends. We had our club 50th anniversary on the weekend, and we had people who played in our club for 30 years because they started playing with friends in under sixes, and they're still playing with those same friends in over 40s. So that's the thing. So success isn't really measured by premierships. To me, success is measured by the smiles on the faces. I love that old quote. I know it's an old quote, but it's brilliant, where the father or mother sits in the car with their child on the way home and says, "I really enjoyed watching you play." So the statement isn't about how well you played or how many goals you scored or saved. It was just, I enjoyed watching you play. And to me, that's the success, where people do go home. The Matildas will play for the World Cup, hopefully tonight, to get that trophy. But for us, they're just playing for fun and maybe to make a lifelong friendship.
David, did Billy just say that Raceview aren't having a very good year?
Raceview are definitely having a good year, and I am helping coach my wife's senior women's team, who are in a very, very tight tussle with Raceview for the finals position, which goes on the line on Saturday. But I just wanted to, I guess, touch on something else there. Yep, we're all about everyone having fun, but the QCSA as a whole is all about inclusion as well. Virtually every club that I'm aware of at some point has had players that have come from diverse backgrounds, be it refugees, that the clubs will actually fund their fees for the year, offset them fully, just so that they have an opportunity to play football in a new community. It's a scary thing coming as a young kid to a completely new country. You may not speak the language at all, and immediately you're immersed with a group of teammates and a club supporting you through that integration. Similarly, we've had players with physical and mental disabilities playing with virtually every club that I'm aware of. they're always embraced. The opposition players are always respectful of that. You know, if the kid that, you know, might have Down syndrome, for example, I know as a specific case, gets the ball, no one's going to go and tackle that person immediately. Let them have a run, let them have a pass. And we're also very passionate about equal playing time. So we don't have kids playing in under nines that are stuck in goals as a goalkeeper against their will, that are there every single game of the season. Everyone gets to play in every position through juniors, equal playing time, regardless of who they are, where they've come from, or what their circumstances are.
Sounds like that really resonated with you there, Ken.
Yeah, no, David's correct, and that's something that we look at as a club. And you know, from Sunnybank and St Catherine's point of view, we've got a massive player base, especially this year alone. And you know, you look at they've probably got 60 teams from 6 to seniors, and we've got about 59. So, you know, the logistically, operationally, and everything else that comes with it, we do get those exceptions to the rules, and we're a very diverse clubs. And we take on board everyone we possibly do, and we make sure that they have fun while they're doing it. And that just reiterates around the rest of the association. So, you know, it's kudos to the association for putting that first, but it's also for these clubs to understand what fits well and work together.
Good stuff. Sue, I'll get you to talk about women's football. Is it boomed this year?
Oh, it's gone amazing, Darren. And look, we've had so many inquiries about next year. You know, I think it's not just booming amongst the women, but the men are getting on board, and the boys and the girls. You know, it's you know, some men that weren't involved in soccer in the past are even saying, "Oh, yeah, I think I want to do this next year." Like it's impacted everyone that's watching, and it's just great timing for the World Cup at the moment with, you know, our season at this stage, but you know, to market and showcase the QCSA and get players involved for next year.
How's the World Cup been for you?
For me, tiring, trying to watch all the matches and work during the day and do everything else. But it's, you know, I just wish it's on more often, and over here more often, or anywhere more often for the sport. I think it's put football, soccer on the map and in leaps and bounds now.
Yeah, good stuff. Are you finding that have you been to games? Have you been attending?
I haven't actually managed to get to one this time round, so unfortunately it didn't fit in with some things I had planned. You know, already booked in for weekends and nights. So hence you know, turning on the telly and the phone wherever you can to watch it wherever we are. So no, it's just been magic, and you know, hopefully tonight's a good outcome for us as Australians, and we see how we go on the path.
And you think they can go all the way?
Oh, of course they can. They have to give it a shot. They've beaten them before, so you know, once they've beaten them, they've got the taste for it. So hopefully they'll come good tonight.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think we've got the whole of. Sorry, David.
We always talk about the sleeping giant, but I think, you know, this is a real opportunity for us to grasp, but we need mainstream media. We had the Today Show down at our club on Saturday just gone. You know, Matildas are on the back of every paper across the nation. The AFL is, you know, seceding and putting games on big screens in their stadia. This is unity in the nation that we haven't seen since the Sydney Olympics. Like everyone, we just hope that this momentum can go on beyond when the Matildas lift that trophy on Sunday, which I'm sure they will do.
Yeah, I think the other aspect there, David and everyone, is that I was actually in Queenstown there last week when we was watching the latest Matildas game, and it's galvanising outside of, you know, it's galvanising all Australians outside of Australia as well to come and actually look back. And so yeah, I was in a restaurant there with 200 plus people, and every screen was on and was showing it. It was broadcast across. Just the atmosphere, and I think that's something, Darren, that I've really experienced this World Cup is being able to see the atmosphere that's come to the stadia, and the atmosphere that's probably we don't see week in, week out, at our local sort of community games and everything. And it gives you a real sense of passion. It gives you a real sense of encouragement in regards to, geez, that's what the game at the elite level can actually look like. Hey, how can we actually get that type of enthusiasm and and bring showcase some sort of the games. And some of the things I've got for our association is that, yeah, let's start to showcase a few things. Let's promote and get a few things together throughout a season so that we can try to recreate that particular atmosphere. It'll be great to come on the back of that. Female participation has been increasing over the last few years organically anyway. At our club there, it's the biggest influx of people coming to play. We'll watch around a few places there, because I think we've talked around, being inclusive. I'm sure there'll be some financial rewards for people that want to participate in football, and next year come along, and we'll support anybody that wants to come and play football, and we'll open the doors. And let's hope that our competition there, we've got more logistics issues around trying to play football because we've got that many teams. We've always got Friday nights that we can expand into. We've got Saturday nights. We've got enough facilities and infrastructure there where we've got the lights to play night games. So, hey, anyone out there that wants to play football and you haven't played before, or you played a number of years ago, and you might be, 25, 30 now, and you've done your starting career and want to come and play, hey, reach out, QCSA, do a Google search on there and come on board. Reach out to the local club, come and have a chat to us. We're looking forward to a number of the clubs have got actually six-a-side competition that'll be commencing in the next month. So ideal opportunity, come down. Hey, kick a football around, have a little six-a-side. It's a shortened game format, not much time commitment, not much financial commitment. Come enjoy the game that we enjoy, and see if you get the bug that we've had. And so look out for those on our Facebook pages. And search locally for the QCSA clubs running those six-a-side comps.
Well said, Kieron. It might be the perfect place to wrap things up. So Billy, David, Sue, Kieron and Ken, thank you so much for your time today. A little personal disclaimer here. I actually played Church League for a couple of years, way back in the day. The thing I loved about playing in the league was I was a goalkeeper. Whenever a shot came in and I'd flick it out and the referee gave a goal kick, I'd just give a little wave, it's corner. Everyone would accept that. My teammates wouldn't go nuts at me saying, "What are you doing that for? He gave a goal kick." And it was all accepted, all part of the game, and just doing the right thing whilst playing the game that we love. That was at St. James Raiders, which is now where the Logan Roos play their games. Anyway, enough about me. Let's wrap up the show. Thank you guys for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your Echo holiday, and thank you very much for your participation. Well done.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks, everyone.